We are live. Welcome in, brothers. Tonight, catch this first. Okay. We are live. Welcome in, brothers. Tonight, we are stopping into the workshop lab to tackle a commercial code calculation mistake that breaks a massive percentage of green helpers and residential installers the second they switch over to commercial job sites. Sizing your multi-gang box fills a lot of helpers think you can just keep cramming conductors, wire connectors, and heavy devices bodies into a standard metal 4 square container as long as the cover plate screws down. But if you don't know how to factor your volumetric, your internal cable clamps, and your ground allowance under Ontario Code Rule 12-3034 and NEC Article 314, you are creating a hazardous terminal trap and begging an inspector to fail your roughing install instantly.
You know what I like about this?
What? Tonight we are pulling back the enclosure cover to break down the exact math multiplier, knockout, configuration, and wire steps to lock in an automatic inspection. Past day one. Drop your box sizing and commercial ruling questions in the chat right now. Clear off your workbenches and let's head straight to the whiteboard. So, we're going to get into Rule 12-304. I'm going to pull that up right now. Rule 12-304. So again, welcome in, brothers. Thank you guys all for joining today's live stream. And I'm going to pull up that first rule here. Hopefully, let's see if that's the rule there. Okay, so it will be the other one. Sorry. That is the NEC article. This is the actual Canadian rule that we're going to go off of first right here. And we're going to, so again, welcome in for all those who are tuning in to today's live stream. And the rule simply says the devices and hardware deduction, Rule 12-304, number 2, which states the switch receptacle penalty for every you're hosting a toggle switch dimmer or standard duplex plug, you must deduct 2 wires from the box total based on the size of the wire feeding that device, sorry. Internal clamps. Internal cable clamps. If the metal box uses built-in screws, changes to secure armor or romettes, you must deduct 1 wire from the total based on the largest conductor size present. I'm not sure where my live stream is like that. Okay. The morettes. Now we go on to the morettes. Connector rule. Under Canadian codes, standard wire nuts, morettes, or push connectors do not take an individual volume deduction unless there are more than a total of 8 connectors presents the cluster. Now we're going to go over to the other part of that, which is the actual NEC rule. So the NEC rule states the sizing mandate, RT 314.16, number of conductors in outlet boxes. This is the direct US counterpart to Canadian Rule 12-3034. It states boxes must provide sufficient wire bending and thermal expansion space. The baseline index, table 314.16a. Metal box capacity, identical to table 16a. This sets the baseline volume allowance for standard trade size. The wire volume multipliers, table 314.16a, volume allowance per conductors. A 14 gauge wire takes 2.00 inches, 12 gauge takes 2.25 inches, and 10 gauge wire takes 2.54 inches. So I'm going to now head over to the next one here. Again, thank you guys all for stepping in. And this is the crucial US deduction difference, the trap. The ground wire rule, unlike Canada, the NEC forces an individual volume deduction for ground conductors, all bare copper ground wires entering the box count as one single deduction based on the largest ground wire present. The device penalty, RT 314.168. 4. For every yoke mounting a switch or outlet plug, you must deduct 2 wires based on the size of the conductor connected to the device. Internal clamps, built-in mechanical clamps count as one single deduction based on the largest conductor inside the box. Wire nuts, Moret standard wire nuts do not take a deduction under the NEC. The scenario, standard metal 4-inch square box. 2.125 inches deep with an interior capacity stamp at 30.3 inches square. You are pulling 14 gauge wire, installing one toggle switch and internal cable clamps, and joining them with Morets. The Canadian calculation OESC Rule 12-304, conductors 4 insulated wires entering 4 counts, internal clamps 1 pair of built-in clamps 1 coin, toggle switch count as a double deduction 2 counts, Morets 0 deduction under 8 total items. Total count 4 plus 1 plus 2 equals 7 count. Volume requires 7 times 2.50 inches square, 17.5 inches. Pass, fail, pass. 17.5 inches is safely under the box minimum capacity of 30.3 inches. Okay, so again, welcome back for all those who are tuning in. This is basically what we call a laser thermometer, detects infrared heat. And what we have here is we have our wires. As you can see, I have a 4x4 box, 3 of them, 4x4 box. This one in the center where I have the laser in the center here. You have my ground wires coming off. So again, if you are roughening your boxes and you decide you want to make connections on the ground, you're going to have that ground count as 1 as well. So instead of making using your Moret that's going to count as 1 also, you can simply wrap the ground around the screw. As you can see, I have these wires coming out of here. These are number 12 gauge wire, and I have here my 2-gang plastering, it's called. So in order for us to obtain our box fill, or if there's a cluster in here, to get away and to pass your code, you simply have to use one of these extension rings. Once you use the extension ring, you are 100% safe passing your inspection. Again, every wire that comes in to your box and you make your connections is going to count. And again, if you have, let's say you have 5 wires coming from this side and 5 sets of wires coming from that side, obviously your pipe has to also be equipped for the code to allow the minimum of the cables entering into this box. So you not only have to rely on this box, you have to also rely on your pipes also. So I'm going to run a short video here for a second before we continue. So again, this is the conduit that I'm going to be working with today. And as you can see here, I've got my core line cutters, I've got my tape. Core line cutters, I normally use them to cut my PVC pipe ends. And as you can see with the pipe here, I've got basically tape at the end here in order to stop the gravel from going in. And basically what I'm going to be doing is running this PVC conduit to the other end of the wall, and I'm basically going to snick this off like this with my core line cutters. And I'm also going to place some tape at the end of the pipe, that way it doesn't get gravel inside of it. Drop 12 or 14 in the chat box right now. Based on what wire size gauge your crew runs the most on commercial roughing. Normally what I do at the end, I place around my glue around here, that way it's firm, secure. Twist at the end to make sure it's not moving. That piece is done, and then we're going to move on to the other piece. Now I need my 1/2 inch buckling at the other end. So again, for those that are tuning in, welcome back to the channel. Again, we've got two different type switches here. And again, what's going to happen is, as you can see, this switch has its own wires and so on. And let me see if I have another switch here. No, I don't. So again, your switches will also count as wires also going into that box. So let's say you have these wires coming out on your switch also, and you, for instance, you're going to use this box. This is a single gang here I have set up here. This is a single gang. As you can see, all my boxes are all grounded off. So this is a single gang plastering with a 4x4 box. Obviously, it's going to, and these are also deep. Okay, so the difference between deep and shallow, when you have a deep box, which I have here, and you have a deep plastering, which I have here, you're allowed to have more wires inside of your box, because you also have this also as a deep extension. You can also place a 4x4 extension ring on here also if you wanted to have more space inside of your box. So very important, don't forget that your toggle switches and so on do count towards it. So for all those who are tuning in right now, these are toggle switches. This is what you call a decoder switch, and with this switch here, that box fill calculation are completely dependent on the unusual volume space matching the total cubic inch or millimeters allowance of the box render. So again, if you wanted to come down on what you're going to be using inside of this box, you're better off using a switch like this. For instance, you didn't have any, for instance, you didn't have, you have a switch here, and you just wanted to install one switch. You can use this here, you're perfectly fine. You don't even have to tail off. Again, if you make connections on this with your Morettes, it's going to count. Also here, also, you're going to have a couple, let's say this was a plug, for instance. In order to get where with that count, you want to go directly on to the plug itself, which is, you want to end up on your receptacle screws itself instead of making Morettes connections in here. Again, it's going to count towards the box fill. So again, try to avoid that. So again, the largest wire that you will have in there will count. So it goes by the one internal cable clamps count as one deduction based on the largest wire in the box. That's what I just showed you. Toggle switch or receptacle count as a double volume deduction based on the driver configuration. So again, welcome back to the channel. I'd like to thank you guys all for tuning in to tonight's live stream. Again, for all those who are tuning in, if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm Fabian from Fabian Electrical Services Inc. Don't forget to like up the live stream, and also you can subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, make sure your notification is turned to all. That way you do receive my notifications when I do go live. So now we're entering into the 21st minute of the live stream. Ground wire bundle, a plastering depth. So again, I'm going to pull up some more examples here. So what I got here, let's see here. Okay, we're going to step into the actual so again, this is the tables here that you would go to in order to find that rule for all those who are tuning in to the live stream. For some reason, I'm not seeing it on my screen, but I believe that okay, let me see if I can. Okay, so I'm going to read this off for you guys here. So it says supporting of insulated conductors in vertical runs of race. Maximum distance, conductor size 14A, copper, aluminum. I believe that might be, let me check another tables here. That might be not the tables I'm looking for here. Okay. So this is part of the rule here. As you can see, 12-3034 for all those who are tuning in and can see that. It also tells you to go to Appendix B. It also gives you tables 23, I believe, is on there. So we might have been in the correct tables. And that's the rule for the boxes and so on for the wire count. So I'm going to go to the go back to the actual tables here for all those who are tuning in to the live stream here. So tables 21, supporting of insulated conductors in vertical runs of raceway. Also tells you conductor size 14 to 8, minimum distance. Sorry, this is not the tables. Let me ship over here. Okay, so this is basically where you would go if you wanted to your capacity, your stuff for your boxes here. Table 23, number of insulated conductors in a box. So it also tells you it reads it out for you there. Again, this is where you would head over to tables 23. I'm not going to read the whole table, but it basically has it right there for you guys. If you are going to be checking it out, that's where you would go. And this is another rule, like I said, 12-3034. That is the main rule for the live stream. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take that off. So again, main reason why you do not cram your boxes is because of overheating. Overheating, you do not want your wires to overheat, cause fires, and so on. So you have to pay attention, cramming your boxes with too many wires and not obviously putting your extension ring and so on. As you can see with the 4x4 box that I have here, I have my wires coming up from here and I have my wires coming up from here. So to reduce the deduction of the wire count, I simply place my ground wire onto the actual ground screw. I place my ground wire onto the actual ground screw instead of making morettes here. Instead of joining these two with a cap, I avoid that and I have some wires that I can obviously play with in case I needed to pull more wire into here. Now when it comes to my wires here, if I'm going to be installing it on a switch, I'm going to go straight onto the screws instead of making connections into here. Or if it's a receptacle, I'm going to go right onto the screws instead of making connections here. And again, in order to obviously trace if there's heat in there, you're going to want to use a digital infrared thermometer. It's a Husky brand. Again, simply this will detect the temperature if there's going to be an overheat and so on inside of the box. You simply turn your light on, point it into the box, and it's going to give you your reading here. Okay, it's going to fluctuate up or down. It's going to let you know if there's some kind of overheating. Also, you can also do that with the wires itself. You can simply scan your wires through the infrared thermometer, and it's going to simply tell you if those wires are rising or not, overheating, and so on. So that is how you would go about using your infrared, and also how you would go about making sure that your wires are not crammed and overheating. Again, overheating causes fires, and in order to avoid that, you simply follow the rule 12-304. That's where you would head to that rule, and it will simply take you to tables 23. Also, it will take you to Appendix B, and you're going to simply take that information you have and wire your boxes accordingly with the proper using the proper counts and so on. That's why it says ground wire bundling, a plastering deck. So again, so I'm going to run a couple of videos here for the next 3 to 10 minutes here for all those who are logging in to the live stream for the day. I'd like to thank you guys all. Footage of hydro coming in to bringing the power into the home. So we'll go over to the other side where they have started to stock this machine that they will use to basically stock material out. Okay, so that's basically what you're going to be using to suck the dirt out of the floor to basically get my power over. As you can see, it's a machine that they will make the holes to get across somehow. I have seen it before, but I've worked beside them years ago when they do this type of stuff. So that machine is basically, I don't remember the name of the machine, but it's a machine that you can basically suck the dirt out of the ground, and everything's basically done neatly. And this other machine that I showed you this morning here is going to be a machine that they will drill across to go. I'm going to flip the camera just slightly over because I don't want to have the other worker on the video. So basically that's what they're using. And he's going to try to make his way all the way over to the other side. So basically what I'm doing today is I'm just going to be hanging out as you come in. You can also hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Stay up to date to my recent content. So right now that's hydro, basically digging. That's the machine that they're using. The reason why I have the camera like this is I'm trying not to get them on the video because I don't know if they want to be on the video. So from 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 time to time, I will just tilt my video. So please hit the like button as you come in. You can also leave a comment. You can also subscribe to the channel. Stay up to date to the latest content on electrical, the hazardness of electrical, the danger behind electrical, and the knowledge that you can gain of how we go about doing our work, our daily job. So basically that's the hydro crew guys working. So again, your isolated ground conductors will require special, careful calculations. Again, that's why you normally wrap your grounds around the ground screw to avoid that, because you will have all your grounds coming in at one point, and normally when you have all your grounds, you have to make your connections. So in order to get rid of the volume inside of the box, in order to get rid of cramming the box, and also allowing you to pass inspection even if the metal box is thin itself is highly crammed. You simply can place your extension ring again over here in order to pass your inspection. So I'm going to run another video. Again, thank you guys all for tuning in to the live stream. So again, this is the conduit that I'm going to be working with today. And as you can see here, I've got my core line cutters, I've got my tape. Core line cutters, I normally use them to cut my PVC pipe ends. And as you can see with the pipe here, I've got basically tape at the end here in order to stop the gravel from going in. And this, what I'm going to be doing is running this PVC conduit to the other end of the wall, and I'm basically going to snip this off like this with my core line cutters. And I'm also going to place some tape at the end of the pipe, that way it doesn't get gravel inside of it. This acts like a coupling, same thing. This is how they come, 10 length. You'll get the, some guys call it a bell-end, but this is what you call a 1/2 inch coupling also. Normally what I do at the end, I place around my glue around here, that way it's firm, secure. Twist at the end, make sure it's not moving. That piece is done, and then we're going to move on to the other piece. Now I need my 1/2 inch coupling at the other end. So hello, welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in to Favorite Electrical Services Inc. Again, as you guys come in, so hello, welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you. So hello, welcome back to the channel. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in to Favorite Electrical Services Inc. Again, as you guys come in, don't forget to like up the live Not sure what I mean. There's no plane. Today what we're going to be doing is a 4-bin saddle. Originally built.
Welcome back to the channel, and if you're tuned in for the first time today, I'm Fabian from Fabian Electrical Services Inc. Don't forget to hit that like button. One of the most common mistakes I see even from licensed electricians is confusing grounding and bounding. They are not the same thing. They do not do the same job, and mixing them up can cause serious safety issues. In this video, I'll explain grounding versus bounding clearly using OESC 2024 rules so this never confuse you again. Bounding is about fault clearing. Its job is to create a low impedance path back to the source so overcurrent devices trip fast. Bounding connects metal parts, keeps everything at the same electrical potential. Bounding jumpers, equipment bounding conductors, bounding of enclosures, bounding screw, strap at service disconnect. OESC Rule 10-700, Rule 10-606. Grounding is not for tripping breakers. Grounding connects your system to earth for reference and voltage stabilization. Grounding electrode conductor. Grounding rods is what we use. As you can see, ground plates and so on is what we use in the field. Urge as a reference, lightning and surge dissipation. Code reference rules OESC 10-102, Rule 10-806, Rule 10-810. If you're relying on earth to clear faults, you're already wrong. People confuse grounding and bounding because they meet at one point, the service disconnect. Main bounding point is the main bounding point where you're going to be connecting most your grounding, bounding at the panel. Also, your neutral is bounded once, and your GC lands in there also. After this, your neutral is isolated. When it comes to your sub-panel wiring, sub-panel with bounded neutrals, it's round. Equipment relying on ground rod, it's a no-no. Floating metal parts, it's also a no-no. So again, in this video, I will break it down all to you, grounding and bounding, the key parts of it, metal parts being grounded off, bounded off, the whole 9 yards, and the importance of following the OESC 2024. It's it's important that you guys understand the difference between bounding and grounding. Again, they do not do the same thing. They're two different rules that apply in the field. And if you do have them mixed up, you can cause serious problems, not just to someone, but also to the equipment. So it's always best to make sure that you pay attention to what you're doing when you're in the field. I understand sometimes we have a long day and we get distracted, but that one little distraction can cause a lot of damage. So always remember, when it comes to the OESC 2024, make sure that your rules are applied accordingly. Make sure that you follow all code rules. Make sure that when you are disconnecting, when you are bonding and grounded, if your panel is more than 6 feet away from the meter base, then your disconnect becomes the main source, your first bonding part that you're going to land. And after that, your sub panels, you're going to remove the bonding straps from your sub panels. Reason being is there is only one bonding point, one main bonding point where you're going to start. Anything after that, it's a no-no for bonding. So keep in mind, this is what your inspectors will be looking for when it comes to bonding and grounding. This is the number one thing that they do look out for on the job sites. They're very strict when it comes to this bonding and grounding. So for all those who are still here and who has made it.
So again, keep your volume metrics aligned. Count your device's deduction. And never force a wire bundle. Now, commercial boxes are only step one. If you want to see the advanced field masterclass showing how to lay out, size, and step heavy parallel conductors inside an outdoor 200 amp main breaker residential panel swap, click straight over to my channel homepage right now and watch our complete long form masterclass video. Hit subscribe, turn on all notifications, stay safe out there, and I'll see you brothers on the next drop. Shutting it down now.